This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome into the Simply Superior studio at the A-Cup House. This is Coffee, Country, and Cody on WSM, and we are happy to have you along for the ride on this Tuesday. Annie Nye is running the board. She's in charge. Charlie Matos.
I feel like I've inspired Annie. This is 2 hat days in a row.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big
really
fan
have.
of
It's
the
true.
ball cap. So,
I like it.
yeah.
I like it a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Jeff Roberts is upstairs.
He is.
I'm Kelly Sutton.
Yes.
Bill Cody, still taking a few days off. We hope that you guys are going to be tuning in with us because this is a big week for us here at the Grand Ole Opry. We have the Opry 100 special tomorrow night on NBC. It is going to be every person that you've ever loved to hear all on one stage.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I thought about it and I was like, is there someone we're leaving out? I don't think so. I think everybody is going to be here in some way, shape, or form. So make sure that you're tuning in. We've got details on that coming up. Also details on the live stream that I'll be hosting. Charlie's going to be here behind the board at WSM, actually interviewing everybody that's coming over. So coverage really starts around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 5:30 for the live stream on social, 7 o'clock on NBC.
Yep.
Just spend the entire day with us tomorrow.
Well, and if you're coming to the show, hang out on the plaza because everything we're doing will be on our big video board as well.
Yes, yeah. So get ready for all of that. Also coming up in just a little bit, James House is going to be in studio with us. He has a new song coming, a new album coming in May, and he's going to be performing at Chiefs.
He will grace the Assembly Food Hall stage.
Oh,
WSM.
welcome in, everybody. We are so excited. He walked in the door this morning, got here early. I said he got here early because he likes us. You said it was because of the traffic. So,
I went to make sure I had the door open, and James is already here. So,
James House, thank you for coming in early, whether it was beating the traffic or because you love us. We are happy that you're
in the parking lot.
Man,
I grew up on a farm,
you were like,
early.
it's fine, no big deal. So how are you? We haven't seen you in a
Been
minute.
great, thank you. I've been working on the music like we're supposed to do, which we do, and love it. I've been writing a lot with veterans the last 6-8 years now, so I finally made a record of some of those songs.
Oh,
and
really?
that's you're going to be hearing one of those today, so I'm really excited about that. So it's kind of a split album. It's old school. We're doing vinyl. Side A is like James songs, and the song I wrote with Raoul Malo of the Mavericks, and
Yeah.
Side B is with the songs I've written with vets, so some of my favorites.
What was your first year in Nashville? When did
My
you
first
come
year, I got here in '88.
Okay.
January 8th, '88. I got signed to MCA Records.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Did you come because of the record
Yeah,
deal?
I
Okay.
got a deal when I was living in California. I grew up out there.
Yeah.
And Tony Brown, who was running MCA Records, he heard.
We love
He
Tony.
heard a couple of the songs, and I got signed, and I've been here ever since. This is home. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so when you got here, what did you think it was going to be like? And then what was it like
Well,
for
it
you?
was very homies, very, Warner Brothers was in a house. And you used to walk around. I remember seeing like Waylon out shopping or somebody else, Don Everly used to, have lunch over at Brown's Diner. So, and I was an Everly Brothers fanatic. So I would just go down there and look at him. So it was just the quaintness and the camaraderie of Nashville, which was great. And I think that's still here. They take you in. And I was taken in very nicely by a lot of great writers and artists. And I remember I was here watching Tammy Wynette, and she had me stand up in the audience, And remember they used to do shows out here.
Yeah,
oh, sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
And not here in the theater, but outside. And so it was like, wow, this is totally different, but I love it.
It's so funny you mentioned Brown's Diner. It's where I first met Hal Ketchum and Nancy Griffith.
Right.
Apparently,
Oh, really?
Brown's Diner is and thankfully, despite the fact that
Still there.
it's essentially a trailer, it's still there after
Still
all
there.
these years.
I think they expanded the trailer.
Yeah,
They
just a
added-
little. Yeah.
It looks nice. They got a nice outside area. It looks pretty fancy. So when you started writing, did you do it? Obviously, you were already signed and you were writing for yourself. But when did it become apparent to you, like, there are other people who would be interested in some of these songs?
That was news to me.
Really?
Yeah, it was. But I grew up, all our records, real musical family.
Okay.
The records in the house were, my dad and mom loved Johnny Cash and Buck Owens. And I noticed they wrote their songs. We loved the Beatles and Eagles, and they wrote their own songs.
Yeah.
So I thought I had to learn how to write songs
Sure.
to do it in this business. And I was doing pretty well in Sacramento. Most everybody that comes here is, big fish in a small town. And I was one of those guys. Songwriting just kind of took over. When I co-wrote Broken Wing for my record, and after we were done, I went, if a female artist sings this, it'll be much better than I could ever do it. And sure enough, Martina did it. And so that was kind of off and running there. Dwight cut Ain't That Lonely Yet on a fluke. I was in between record deals, and it was like, so that was really a good thing. So, that paid the bills pretty well back then. So and I've never stopped. I'm still writing every day. I write with the veterans a couple times a month. And I'm still writing for whoever will listen.
That's amazing. Well, I was telling Charlie before you got here, I came to town 2001, and Broken Wing already had been a huge hit for Martina, but every female who was trying to get signed, because they were still doing showcases. Remember, you'd get the invite, hey, come over Third and Lindsley, I'm going to do a showcase. And there'd be a lot of record label executives there. They'd be listening. Every female would do Broken Wing. It was just a foregone conclusion that was going to be in the set somewhere. And I said, some of them, it broke them. Like, they shouldn't have done Broken Wing.
Not every female should. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I would hear if they did it well, then it was almost like a litmus test to see if you could sing that song and sing it well.
I've not heard anybody do it better than Martina.
Oh, absolutely not.
And I've heard a lot of versions of it. Somebody sang it the other night on your show, on the Grand Ole Opry, which was last week. So I was like,
Probably Wendy Moten.
I used to have friends send me different clips of Martina singing it around the country, and it was always the high note at the end. So I'd get a clip of
That's just your ringtone right now
great.
whenever Martina calls. So talk about starting to write with the veterans. When did this happen? Was it through a certain program, or how did that all come about?
Songwriting with Soldiers. A friend of mine, Darden Smith, started the 501c, and they just kind of eased into it, and all of a sudden it's turned into this thing that we do a lot of, and it's an amazing experience. Up till then, you write songs for yourself or other people, but to see instant, immediate healing results from a song is powerful. And the first time I saw it done, I went, "Oh, this is incredible!" So I signed up, and it's an amazing experience every time. Sometimes I go write with 8 vets at one time, and take all those stories and put it into a little 3-minute song. So.
It's interesting too, because you're walking in people who've never written a song before.
Right.
They don't even know how to start.
Well, they don't have to. They just have to tell their story. I'll do I'll find the rhymes and put it, use my craft to put it in the songese, but they just tell their stories. I always say this, Ain't That Lonely Yet was written, it was just a story. Costas, who I was writing with, asked me, my girlfriend and I broke up, and he said, "Are you getting back with your girlfriend?" I said, "No, man, I ain't that lonely yet." And he goes, "Oh, we should write that." That taught me a really big lesson about songwriting right there. It's a conversation.
Well, I've often heard songwriters say that sometimes, especially if it's an emotional topic, it can be cathartic. So you probably experience that every single time you sit down with those guys.
Right, with the guys, yeah. And Broken Wing came from that spot too. My sister was in a bad relationship with the guy, and I was here in Nashville, and family was out on the West Coast, and I was supposed to write that day, and that just kind of fell out. And it started from there, but then we crafted it into the song it became, and it's been a powerful message for, it's almost 30 years old, that song now.
Wow.
So.
All right, tell us about Forged by Fire before we play it.
Forged by Fire was written with Justin Lilly on the Songwriting with Soldiers program. He's also wants to be a songwriter, but he served over in Fallujah. He did a couple of tours over there in Iraq, and his story he tried to get away from. This is the song about his home life was kind of tough, and so he went into the service to try and find another life, and that was also both of those things. And he got out. He made it out alive, which is a pretty amazing story, considering what he went through, and came back home and put his life back together. And I met him when he was just trying to, still struggling. We came to a retreat for Songwriting with Soldiers, and we sat down and wrote the song. And it's, I think it's real powerful.
And we're going to play it right now on WSM. It's Forged by Fire with James Howard.
More coffee, country, and Cody is on WSM.
And we are joined this morning on the Assembly Food Hall stage by our friend James House. New album is coming in May. Going to be doing Chiefs coming up.
Yes.
We've talked about, you already have seen what it looks like inside.
Yeah,
It's
I played
so,
down there.
Oh, you
once.
already have?
Yes, it's
It
beautiful.
is so cool.
Yeah, the upstairs theater is fantastic.
It's like a little Ryman.
It is. It's exactly it.
I mean, the stained glass windows.
Good for them.
And, you know, I remember
us.
talking to Eric. He said that's really what he wanted it to be, a place where there would be live music and that songwriters could come and really showcase what they do.
Yeah, so we're doing an album launch party there on the 22nd.
22nd.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And, that's what it says right
Thank
here on
you.
this piece of paper.
Good.
Yes, yes.
I'll be there. So looking forward to that. It's full band, and so we're going to go have a good time and play the whole record. I haven't played with a full band in a while, so I've been doing the Bluebird and all those stuff. So
that's going to be
it's gonna
super
be fun.
fun. Well, we were just talking about memories being here, and you shared that you had some memories with Mr. Acuff.
Well, yeah, my parents loved, the Grand Ole Opry was everything to them when they were kids growing up. And I actually brought them in '89 when I moved out here. They flew out and got to meet Roy Acuff over here. They let us go backstage and just kind of say hello to everybody because it's such a brilliant backstage.
Sure.
It's better than front. It's really a lot going on. It's
There
great.
is.
If you ever get a chance, go do it. So yeah, in fact, they were such big fans. Yeah, I think it was in '73. My uncle, my mom's brother, long story, but the four of them had eloped together years before. The four of them, they flew my uncle's private plane from Sacramento to Nashville just to go to the Grand Ole Opry.
Are you
So
serious?
it was over at the Ryman in '73,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how much they were huge fans. They didn't, when I was on the Opry, I had #1 records and played for lots and lots of people and had record deals. But it wasn't until I played the Opry. They went, all right, you're doing pretty good now.
Yeah.
That is the litmus test
It
for
is.
so many artists.
It
I
is.
can't believe how many people have
It
actually
is.
said
Love
that.
to do it.
Yeah. And how cool that we're now in his house.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's, yeah. Yeah, I walked by it many times and just went, hey, there's Roy's over there.
Well, we were also just talking about the fact that when you came here from California, it was just such a different feeling.
Yeah,
And-
it was small town still. you know.
Yeah,
And
I
was,
still think that that's true. I think
It
that's
is
the
in
part of
many
the soul
ways.
we don't want to lose.
No, I know a new artist coming up. Her name's Zoe, and some of the and
We
her
love
friends
Zoe.
and,
Yes,
and
she's
her
been here.
friends, and there's still that intimacy and camaraderie that's still going on her amongst it because all the new kids, new artists coming up. It's fun to watch them from this side going. Let me tell you about this ride.
Well, last time you joined us, it was for a really cool project. It was an audiobook called Lost in Laurel Canyon and stories and songs about your journey to Music City. It was fantastic.
Thank you. It was I just wanted to do something with stories and music at the same time. I don't think anybody quite. I listen to a bunch of audiobooks. I'm a big fan. I think it's because I watched that Disney show where they learned everything at night. What was that show anyway? If you go to sleep and listen to it, you pass the test in the morning. Anyway, it was a lot of fun doing that project. When I got signed, I was living in Sacramento, and my band, we got signed to Warner Brothers down in Los Angeles. So they moved us all down, and the band proceeded to break up like bands always do. Either they're successful or they're not. Either way, they break up.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It's either
And
now or
we
10
didn't-
years
we-
down the road.
We were the first in that column. But that record was just that journey, and I wanted to write songs and stories, and enjoyed it. So
It was called the House Band, right?
the first band was we actually we
So
do
great.
anything to get people in the door. We call that band Free Beer for a long time.
There's a radio show that
you
does
put
that.
free beer
yeah.
up on the marquee, and the
And
place
they're
gets
coming
packed.
out. You've got the guitar. We would love for you to play live for us. What song are you gonna do?
Well, to warm the voice up.
There
it's
you
like
go.
an old Bricks and Stratton.
Yeah, we've learned there are 8 p.m. songs and 8 a.m. songs, and not
hear
often do they combine.
So you're-
teardrops.
So you're not gonna do Broken Wing this morning.
No, not even close. This is actually, I'm going to do a medley of my hit
Oh, good.
from 1994. If you were on Interstate 95, this was a biggie.
Love it. It's good. Love that.
Thank you.
We can't wait for the new album. How many songs are on it?
11 songs. Yeah, it's, 5 with the Vets, and I'm really excited. That first one you played, that was the debut, by the way. It's the first time it's been on radio.
Really?
So that's great. It comes out Friday. The single gets released Friday. The other, I'm releasing 2 singles. That song, another one called Steel Rain, and that one features Joe Bonamassa. So they're both coming out Friday.
Oh, incredible. Let me.
Yeah, he's okay on guitar.
He's okay.
Big old solo.
The kid's got a future.
I love it.
Before you go, I don't think we've ever talked about this, but as a California kid, what's the Beach Boys experience like for you back in like 96?
Well, I toured with them.
Yeah.
No, it was incredible. Carl was still with them. Actually, all of them at one point were
before they had split into like kind of the 2 versions, right?
Yeah. No, they. I remember at one point we were in a small studio, and Brian walked in, and they hadn't seen him in 10 years, And it was just me and my manager and the Beach Boys, and they started, well, let's warm up. And they did a cappella in my room. Oh. And it was like, you've seen that picture of the guy sitting in front of the stereo speaker where he's being blown back? That's exactly what it was like. It was this force of nature that was incredible. And I went, now I really get it. I mean, I love those records too. Toured with them. They were fantastic. And like I said, Carl was still alive, and he was a lovely, lovely human being, and all of them were. Yeah. I was on a helicopter ride with him. One quick story. We did the Letterman show, and they actually backed me up. Can you believe it? You can go watch it. I'm there. I'm singing lead with the Beach Boys, and Brian's on the show. Anyway, we had a concert that right after that in Connecticut. So we go to the helicopter port right after the Letterman show, and we fly over to Connecticut. And I'm sitting in a helicopter with just the Beach Boys and me, squeezed in. They're not really. I mean, I'm tight like this next to Mike and everybody, and the helicopter lands behind the venue. It's one of those outdoor kind of Starwood venues, and my band's on stage because we were running a little late, and so I jump off the helicopter and walked on stage. And didn't you think I was cool?
That is a rock
This is like
star
Hard Day's
moment.
Night.
Yeah.
That was my rock star moment.
For sure. Holy cow. Thank you for coming in this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So good to see you.
guys are the
James House, the new single, Forged by Fire, out Friday, May 22nd. Be there at Chiefs. He'll be playing. Thanks for coming by.
Much.
Thanks for the stories. It's also very funny in watching American Idol. If you haven't watched, I implore you, watch it. It's really, really good. And Carrie is killing it this season. But there was a guy that came on, and he decided to do, it was a really heavy metal song. And I think Lionel and Luke both were like, oh, and Carrie's like, yeah. And he starts doing it, and Carrie starts singing with him.
Oh, wow.
And then gets up and does the whole, like, let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor. And everyone's like, what? And I said, oh, you didn't realize Carrie Underwood is a metal head.
One of my favorite videos that you've ever sent me was from Geodis Park here in Nashville with her doing Sweet Child of Mine. And it was not hard to tell when she came in as opposed to Axl.
Oh, bless it.
It got much better.
Well, she toured with them. She toured with
she
Guns
did.
N' Roses.
She opened,
And it was so cool. I know she was living like her 15-year-old dream for sure.
Right.
To open for Guns N' Roses. So that's a little bit of that rocker side.
What would be living your 15-year-old dream?
Oh, wow. Oh, what a great question.
I was just going to say that's a really great question.
I guess I kind of am, because I was about 15 or 16 when I decided that I wanted to do television. I went to a TV station as a field trip with my high school class, and I saw PM Magazine in Louisville, and I sat in the chair, and I was like, oh, well, that's what I want to do. So
there you go.
I guess maybe I'm doing it.
That's so
That's
cute.
so sweet. It's not that sweet. What about you,
So
Annie?
cute.
What did you want to do when you were 15?
Besides the fact that I'm not married to Justin Bieber,
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Well,
It's okay. We digress, but I think I'm basically living my 15-year-old dream. And you're not fully there, but I'm en route to. I'm definitely where I would want to be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Charlie, you're doing it.
Charlie.
well, Lord, if I'm
I
not
know.
there, I ain't going to get there because the time is expiring very quickly.
Don't say that.
On the
That's
dream.
not true.
No, honestly, this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
Radio is the only thing I've ever wanted to do. I was 5 years old. I had a little cassette machine next to my record player, and I had my own radio station, WCMJ.
It's so cute.
Charlie Maddow's Jr.
We're all living our dreams.
Yeah.
We're
and
living
that's
our
so
dreams.
Cute.
So there it is.
What about it? That's amazing. Okay, well, let's talk about everybody else living their dreams. Opry on Idol. This was so cool, going on stage at the Grand Ole Opry. Big dream for a lot of people, including a 17-year-old who auditioned for American Idol. His name is Bryce Quick. He came in and he just really knocked it out of the park. And it was funny. Luke goes, "You kind of remind me of somebody, Chase Beckham." So Luke FaceTimes Chase after they give him the golden ticket, tell him he's going to Hollywood. FaceTimes Chase and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" Chase said, "I'm playing the Grand Ole Opry." And Luke said, "Can we send somebody your way? His name is Bryson Quick and he's pretty good." And this is what happened. Take a look.
Bryson Quick, ladies and gentlemen, come on.
Bryson Quick, 17 years old, got to walk on stage at the Grand Ole Opry and sing with Chase Beckham. And you were there that night.
Yeah, they cut me out, but I was there. Yeah.
Well, I was watching.
I get cut out a lot on these kind of things.
So funny because I was in the other room and Paul
part of
was
the dream,
watching it.
Charlie.
I know.
I know,
That
part
is
of the dream.
You wanted radio. You didn't say TV.
That's right. That's
you weren't
right.
specific.
Yeah, they heard me on the radio.
That was it. I'm in the other room and Paul goes, "Kelly, come in here. This kid's about to perform on the Opry." And I was like, "No, that's not real. I would have known about it." And he's like, "Clearly you didn't." And I was like, "Oh, when did this happen?"
Yeah, so it was months ago. And I
Okay.
kind of had just honestly forgotten about it till you said his name. And I'm like, wait a minute, I know that name.
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, I was there for that. So
So congratulations, Bryson Quick. He's moving on to the next round of American Idol. Now, this was the story that I've been teasing all morning long. Old whiskey washing up on the shore.
I'm ready.
This was the Jersey Shore.
Okay. Oh,
Hey yo.
where's your family?
Shout
Hello,
out.
Yeah.
what's going on? If your family wasn't there for this one. 11 Prohibition era whiskey bottles were found.
Whoa.
Wow.
Still intact, still sealed. How crazy is this?
So
Says
late
who, though?
1920s, coming up on a century.
Yeah.
How do they know? How do they know that?
I guess probably the glass. It probably has a stamp on the glass that said where it was made.
Oh, for sure, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy was walking. Austin Contagiacomo is his last name. He's from Jersey. He was walking his
Yep.
dog.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. He was walking his dog along New Jersey's Margate Pier. And when he looked down, he saw some of these bottles, and they were embossed with the phrase Lincoln Inn. And they traced it back. They said somewhere between 1920 and 1930 something.
Yeah, so a century.
Wow.
I bet you it was a case that fell overboard and finally broke apart and washed ashore. Because for all of them to come at the same time, you have to think they had to be enclosed in something.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, how wild
But-
is that? I wonder what they're worth.
I have no idea. He took them home and he gave a couple to like uncles, and he said he was just going to keep them.
Wow,
Wow.
I'd not be doing that.
Sorry, I don't know him, Charlie.
Yeah, I would be auctioning those
How
babies off.
Okay, crazy question. Would you taste it?
Yeah. Well, maybe when I realized how much it was worth. Yeah, I would taste it.
I mean, if someone else opened
He
the
got
bottle.
like 12.
I would taste
Or like
it.
Yeah,
7.
there were 11. 11.
11.
If somebody opened one of the
Yeah,
bottles,
yeah, for
you'd
sure.
taste
For
it?
sure I would taste
Annie,
it.
would you taste
Yeah.
it?
Maybe just for the. I don't like whiskey, but I would try. I would have to, right? You have to. It's
Right.
100 years. It's as old as
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
as old as us.
Mm-hmm.
As
Grand
the
Ole
Opry.
Opry.
They should send us one.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Opry
I-
and Whiskey 100.
I
There.
think I would only do it if it was for a good cause like
Well,
that.
they say Johnny Walker Blue contains some whiskeys as old as 60 years.
That's pretty
Really?
crazy.
Yeah. So, and there are many companies that do like a 30 or 40-year-old expression on a regular
Oh,
basis.
That's very
So,
interesting.
and those are still good.
Okay.
So, of
Well,
course,
there you go.
in the sea. There's not to get off on a whiskey tangent, but
Please.
but Jefferson's has a whole line called their ocean line, and they put the barrels on ships. And because the natural movement of the ship, the liquid inside the barrel gets more of the barrel character in the whiskey.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they have an ocean. It's called Jefferson's Ocean.
Really?
Yeah, and they've done like 30 different voyages. And the little booklet that comes with the bottle tells you where the whiskey has been.
Oh, that's really
Yeah,
cool.
the whiskey's been way cooler places than I've been.
How much is it?
I'd say like 90. It's not ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not completely out of the ordinary.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Well, she walked in here with a new EP that just came out. It's so good to see you, Jordana. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me back.
Jordana Bryant. Did you wake up? Did you stay up? Tell us about the EP that came out, because I think this is the most interesting thing. You're probably exhausted because you've been promoting it, you've been talking about it, but the minute that it came out, did you stay up all night just to wait?
Yes. Well, I feel like the nice thing about living in Nashville is that all songs come out at 12 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
So it's an hour earlier
That's
compared
11.
to me growing up in Pennsylvania and releasing songs and staying up till midnight was a little much. But 11, you could do. It's doable.
You're like, okay, not too bad. What was the moment like when it popped up?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it feels like finally it's actually real, because you work on a project for so long, from the writing to picking the songs to recording them. And I think that it feels, when you're working on the project, surreal. It doesn't feel like it's, an actual thing until it comes out and you're hearing what people think of it and you're seeing people post about it. So it really was such a fulfilling moment to know that finally all of the work was, it's real.
That's awesome.
Well, your debut EP went top 10 on iTunes, so that
Yes.
became really real all of a sudden, right? I mean, that had to be cool.
It was extremely cool. I remember seeing that, we were at number 13, 12, and I started texting all of my friends to ask them to purchase it. And I was like, who else can I text?
Right.
And there were definitely some people where I was like, we haven't talked in 2 years. Is it weird for me to text them?
No, not at this
absolutely
point.
not. No.
Now you know what a
Why not?
politician feels like.
no.
They're asking for a vote.
Hey, they're going to ask you for free tickets at some point,
Oh,
so it's a
100%.
it'll all come back.
Yeah,
So it's a
exactly.
good arrangement.
100%.
Yeah, you mentioned Pennsylvania. If I remember correctly, much closer to Philly than Pittsburgh, right?
Yes,
So you were happy with the Super Bowl?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we always joke, you would be excommunicated if you were not an
Eagles fan?
fan.
Okay, gotcha. So,
That's
yeah.
amazing. Did you go to some games growing up?
You know what? Eagles games are pretty rowdy, so they're not necessarily the place you would want to take a young, girl. But I definitely grew up watching them on TV.
These are the fans that booed Santa and threw snowballs at him.
Yeah,
So
that
I
sounds
could
about
understand that back
Got
in the
it.
day.
Got it.
I remember when they won, gosh, I was in middle school, so this is whatever Super Bowl they won last. My brother and I wanted to go to the parade, and my parents were like, absolutely not. You're going to get, trampled. They're diehard fans, and we love that, but it's also a little bit dangerous.
We love that from afar.
Yes, we love it from afar.
I tell you, the one thing I do love about Philly, though, is for as big a city it is, it's such a good walking city. I mean, and it's an insane amount of history, and you forget, because it's big. Oh, there's Bank of America, there's Starbucks. Oh, there's Betsy Ross's house. Oh, and it's just like the weirdest combination of things, So,
It really
yeah.
is. It's funny. Growing up, I truthfully didn't go into the city very much. We lived kind of in between Lancaster, which is like Amish country,
Sure.
and then Philadelphia. But when we would go for school field trips, it was so interesting to see all the history there and to see, because it was the capital of the U.S. I think at
before
a certain
Washington.
Time, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Look at
Yeah.
her.
I know.
A plus,
Get that
A
school
plus.
knowledge.
Yeah.
We love that. So when did you start songwriting? Because how old are you now?
19.
19. Okay, so when did the songwriting bug hit you?
I think it was always there before I even really understood what songwriting was. I would always, when a song would come on the radio, in the 8 bars of instrumental, be singing my own melodies and words. And when I would hear my dad playing guitar around the house, I would be making up my own words and melodies to it. And I don't think I even realized that was something called songwriting until, I was probably, I want to say 8 or 9, and I started wondering how these songs were made, and I would look at the song credits and see these names of songwriters, and I was like, whoa, there's people who make these songs into what they are. That's amazing. I want to do that.
That's so cool.
You have a really cool merch page on your website.
Oh,
but
thank
you
you.
don't have to scroll too far down to see that Taylor Swift was obviously an influence at some
Yes.
point. Well, there's a lot of Taylor for Prez merch
nice.
on the website. But obviously, she's such an inspiration for so many young songwriters.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what was really inspiring to me is that her songs just felt very real and relatable. And I think that as, you know, a young girl growing up, I found it really amazing how someone who had never met me could write songs that felt like, you know, they were straight from my diary, something that, you know, only my best friend could have known.
Right.
And I think that, you know, being able to make people feel seen and heard and, you know, part of a larger community is so special. And so that's definitely something that I wanted to do. And I think that also just the way that she fosters a community of people who not only get to know and care about her, but care about each other and, you know, lift people up. I think it's so special how it's become a culture where at concerts people, you know, talk to each other and give each other bracelets and like just the, you know, it really feels like a community. And I think that's really cool.
I told Kelly this. So we saw the Eras Tour in New Orleans. We were there night one at the Superdome. And we've been, my wife and I have been to New Orleans like 35 times. Never in my wildest dreams would I imagine walking from the Superdome to our hotel at midnight on any night of the week.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it was the safest walk on the planet that night because the Swifties took over and it really literally changed the city. So it's a very accurate way of that you put it.
Yeah,
And
we went in May when she was here at Nissan Stadium, and same thing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most lovely, wonderful feeling.
It is.
And then you get to work with Nathan Chapman.
Oh yeah, talk about
Famously
Taylor.
Worked with Taylor. So there's a fun connection.
Yes, it was such a special experience getting to work on the EP with him. I mean, he obviously had such a big hand in, you know, some of the albums that growing up really inspired me to dig into songwriting more. And I think that, you know, getting to hear the stories and, you know, watch him pick up a guitar and be like, oh yeah, I played this on You Belong With Me. Do you remember this riff? This is what we used for it. It was really a special full circle moment.
Oh, that's amazing. So in putting this EP together, it's called Right Key, Wrong Porch, which I love, and we've got to get some more info on that. But in putting it together, how long did that process take for you?
Yeah, I think that writing the songs, I started, I want to say probably beginning of last year, so beginning of 2024.
Okay.
You know, really writing with the intention of I want to put together a body of work. And I think that when I'm putting together an EP, for me, a lot of it is what message do I want to put out there? What life lessons have I learned, you know, in the last year, 2 years that I feel like, you know, a body of work could really represent. And for me, I think a big part of this last chapter was realizing that when an opportunity doesn't work out, it means it's just not the right one for you, and you just have to keep going and stay true to yourself and have faith, and eventually you'll find the right one for you. And so that really is the message to me of right key, wrong porch. It's, you know, I think in a lot of situations where something doesn't work out, we look inward and we wonder, you know, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? Why wasn't I good enough? But I think it's so important to just trust the process in those moments and, you know, have faith and trust God's plan and remember that it's a blessing even if you can't see it in the moment.
That's right.
It's easy to break the key in the lock too. Trying to force your way in. So yeah. So the lesson is don't force your way in, right?
Exactly. You can't make a key fit when it doesn't fit.
You don't want to do that. Okay, so we're going to play Turns Out. Tell us more about this song.
Yeah, Turns Out is definitely one of my favorite songs on the project. I feel like it does really encapsulate that message of, you know, people say hindsight is 20/20, and I think it's so beautiful how really good things come into your life because other things didn't work out. And I think that so much of the time, you know, in the moment it can feel really disheartening, but when you look back, whether it's a week later, a month later, a year later, you see all of the great things that came into your life because it didn't work out.
Here it is, Jordana Bryant. You're hearing it right now on WSM. This is Turns Out.
From WSM Radio, this is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Jordana Bryant is in studio with us. Her EP, it's called Right Key, Wrong Porch. It just came out last week. Produced by Nathan Chapman and also Seth Mosley. I forgot to mention Seth's name. Girl, you're playing with some heavy hitters, man. That's good stuff when you've got both of those names working with you. Do you feel that, like, when you're working with them? Obviously, you've already had a relationship with them and you know them when you walk in the studio, but do you ever take a step back and think, wow, I'm doing this at 19. That's pretty impressive.
It is. I mean, thank you. It's definitely a very special experience getting to be in the studio with them. And I feel very humbled that they want to even work with me. But it's, I think when you get to be in the studio and see them, you know, really doing their thing and take a step back, it's pretty incredible to, you know, be in the room with someone who walks in and just is able to listen to your vision even when they have so much success. I think that's really a very special thing, and I feel very grateful that while they obviously have such, you know, visions for what the production can be, they really let me kind of steer the ship.
That's awesome.
6 Grammys between the two of them, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 for Nathan, and Seth's won a couple. And it's interesting, too, because they come from, I think, different angles. You know, we mentioned Nathan with the Taylor Swift connection, so he obviously gets the singer-songwriter thing. And Seth, I instantly think, for King and Country.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
he gets the big production value. If you've ever seen those guys on stage, you know what they're dealing with. So it's an interesting dynamic between the two.
It is. And I love that they both, you know, even though they both come from very different backgrounds, they both just have this innate sense for what a listener wants to hear, and they don't overcrowd the production, but they also know how to keep it big and really, regardless of what the song is, have a cohesive, you know, sound to it.
So the way that you're speaking right now makes me think that one day you're going to be producing.
I hope so. I mean, I love I feel like the more you're in the studio with really great producers, the more you learn about it. And I think that even if you're not a producer, as an artist, you need to understand production to be able to articulate what you want in your songs.
I would just want to pick their brains and and then therefore wasting all my studio time. By that point, we got to record at some point. But do you do some of that though?
Yes,
I mean, because it's
absolutely.
You got to be a sponge with these guys.
And I love that they take the time to answer the questions. And I'm someone who, if I don't understand something, I just ask, because I think that's the only way you can learn. And they are very good about, you know, explaining things and, you know, why are we using, you know, this particular, you know, setting? Why are we recording this first? How are you thinking about, you know, this instrument? It's really, I think, the best way to learn.
Well, you've got your guitar. What do you want to play live for us?
I'm going to play a song from the EP called When God Closes Doors. This song is kind of the title track because the line Right Key, Wrong Porch comes from it.
Okay. Take it away. I love that. It's so good. Okay, is that how you always hold your pick?
Oh, what do you mean? Well, when I'm...
I was watching you and I'm like, wait a minute. I've never seen anyone hold a pick like
so
that.
when I'm finger picking, I will like tuck it in a different finger so that I can, you know,
and then
pick
you
with
pull
my
it
fingers,
out?
which a lot of guitarists will pick with their pick, but I kind of like the, you know, more natural sound of
I was watching, I'm like,
picking.
that's a magic trick. I've
And then I'll
never
just,
seen anybody do
you
that.
know, flip it so that you can strum with it. Yeah.
There you go. I picked up on it and I'm like, because, you know, Taylor Swift writes with her pen in between her first and second finger like
Interesting.
that.
Really?
Oh, you guys haven't noticed that?
No.
Yeah.
I have not noticed that. That's such a skill.
So I was like, you do something very similar with your pick. See, I'm finding all the similarities.
You have, you know, you're really catching everything.
I've got it all. I've got it all. Congratulations.
And I got to say, Might Not Be Knocking If I Saw the Other Side is a brilliant line.
Wow.
It's a
Thank
great
you.
line.
I really appreciate
It
that.
really is. So many good things in store for you. So where are you headed next after this?
Well, I am working on some shows that are going to be happening this spring and summer that I haven't yet announced, but be on the lookout for that. And then you know me, always working on new music.
I love it. Jordana, thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Good for coming in. And this is an amazing new EP. It's Right Key, Wrong Porch. You heard it here first on WSM Coffee Country and Cody. Them starts around 3 o'clock. That's when you're going to start doing some interviews, Charlie? 3:30?
I think 3:30 and
Okay.
4. I think they have a big sound check around 3:30, and then folks will start coming over here for a little while, and then they'll be hanging out with you on the Facebook live stream and other social media platforms at 5:30. So between the two of us, we'll be very busy.
It's going to be a
In
very
a fun
busy
way.
day. In a very fun way. So we're excited about all the things that are happening surrounding our Opry 100 special. Blake Shelton is going to be the MC. So we don't know. We don't know what's exactly going to happen. He's just he's so funny and off the cuff, and we're not sure what he's going to say. Hopefully it'll stay within the boundaries. I know it will.
I
That'd be
think
great.
he's so funny. I find him so funny. One of my favorite videos in the world is him and Jimmy Fallon going to get sushi.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh,
priceless.
yeah.
It's like, can I get some more of that rice wine?
Rice
He
wine.
loves the rice wine.
We've known Blake for a very long time, and absolutely everything that you've ever seen him do, that none of that is fake. That is 100% really who he is.
I love
It's who he's always been. And now America has loved him. So he's got new music that's on the way. This is perfect. He's like, hey, I'm going to be hosting this thing. Let me talk about my new music as well. It's called For Recreational Use Only. Now there's the orange. You can see at the bottom it says for recreational use only in orange, and Blake Shelton on the cover of this album is also in orange. That starts to make sense because he was going through this thing where he was on social media just posting orange squares, and people were like, what's he doing? And it was all leading up to this announcement. So 12 tracks on the collection, collabs with his wife Gwen Stefani will be on there. Current tour mate Craig Morgan is on a song with him, and he's got John Anderson just a swinging. He told me a long time ago that's his favorite voice of all.
John
country.
Anderson. Yeah, I think John Anderson and Earl Thomas Conley
Oh,
are like
yes.
1-2 for Blake.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
He'd be
So-
great at karaoke, like late 70s, mid 80s country karaoke. Like Blake could nail every. I think he knows those lyrics better than his own. Probably.
No, you're probably right. You are probably right about that. All right, congratulations, Trisha. Trisha Yearwood is getting her star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. Talk about a long time coming. They announced this in 2020, and it was all set, ready to go. Then we had a little thing where the world shut down, so kind of got derailed. Now it's back on track. It's going to be happening on Monday the 24th, and this is really cool. The star is located in front of the historic Capitol Records building. So if you've been down there and you can follow the stars all along, go to the historic Capitol Records building. It's at 1750 North Vine Street, and that's where Trisha's star is going to be.
Right next to Garth's. I
Is
looked
it?
up
I
to
wondered
see
where
if Garth had one. It is. He's at 1750 North Vine. That's amazing.
I knew he
Yeah.
had one. I just didn't know exactly where it was. So that means everything that they put it together. I found this video. I have to share it with you. A lot of things have been coming out of Paris Fashion Week. I don't know if you guys have been following.
Oh, it's like on my calendar. I check every day for updates. Absolutely.
Paris
Big
Fashion Week.
Paris Fashion Week.
You said it
God.
wrong.
You
Try
said
it again.
Ferris Passion.
What did I say?
You said,
Ferris Passion Week.
Yes, that's what I'm following. Apparently,
That happens the
I'm
week
more of the
before
Ferris
Easter.
Passion person.
That's the week before Easter. Totally different week. Totally different. Fashion Week, week before Easter, totally different week. This is Fashion Week. And here's the thing I love. It's always, most of the time, ridiculousness. And
Right.
people are now spoofing it. You've seen some of that, right? Like they'll walk around with a trash can on their head. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is from Balenciaga. So this is really cute. Everyone's lined up. They're ready for this big show. And a pigeon just decided it is my runway to strut down. And
cute.
literally walks the entire runway.
Owning it.
Doesn't just like do a
Owning
little
it. Absolutely slaying.
slaying. Could you imagine if they said, and this was our first look, you guys missed it because you thought it was just a pigeon, but it was actually a plant. We'd already worked it up. We've dyed his feathers. He looks fantastic. But the best part was half of the people in the front row weren't paying any attention at all. I thought it was funny. And someone wrote as the little I guess, headline underneath of it. Who is this diva?
Oh,
Who is
who is this diva?
I thought it
That's
was
so cute.
I had to share it with
So
you.
Ferris Passion Week. There we go.
Ferris Passion Week. It's all happening. We're going to let him be in charge tomorrow on the microphone talking to people
You don't want to miss that.
as they come in here for the Opry 100. Thank you again, Jordana, for coming in. Jordana Bryant. The new EP is Right Key, Wrong Porch. She's fantastic. And thank you to our friend James House, who came in earlier in the 8 o'clock hour.
Yep. And tomorrow morning on our Assembly Food Hall stage, Opry Dan Rogers, Vice President, Executive Director, Grand Poobah, if you will, of the Grand Ole Opry will come by. And Justin Danger Nunley is going to take over Opry socials, and he's going to come hang with us as well. He's got 9.1 TikTok followers, 9.1 million.
I was like, 9.1? Oh, I have more than that.
No,
Okay.
yeah, but he has a few more than me.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be talking to him as well. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow. It's Coffee, Country, and Cody on WSM.